Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Love Pod. I'm your host, Julia, and this is actually my second episode today, which is super exciting because usually Nathaniel is the main host over here. And, whenever I saw our guest topic today and the themes that she wanted to discuss, I told Nathaniel, please, can I do it? And this guest actually is someone he that connected with on school, and I'm so excited to finally get to know her myself a little bit more. So today we are joined by Chanie Twersky, joining us from New York, and she is a mother of, get ready, 8 children. She is an inner child expert and the founder of Peak Parenting. She is passionate about making emotional and spiritual preparation for parenthood something that's talked about not just talked about quietly, but something that becomes a little bit more mainstream, which I think is incredible because the way that we prepare for our children could actually change generations. And the healing doesn't need to start after becoming a parent, but what if it were to start before? And yeah, I'm just so happy to have you here. I'm really excited to dive into these themes because God knows how passionate I am about motherhood. I have a little girl. She's only 2, but it has changed my whole world since before she was born. And so, with all that to say, Hani, welcome to the Love Pod.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And may I say that you really say my name correctly?
Trying.
I love it. Yeah, good job. I am so happy to be here. Thank
Well,
you.
we're happy to have you. So I would love to start, for people meeting you for the first time, including myself, maybe you can share a little bit about, your life and the events that led you to the work that you're doing today. I mean, you're a mother of 8 children. Did you always want to have a big family? Maybe you can just share a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, so I'll see what comes up as wanting to be shared here. Um, I was born Uh, as my name says, I am Jewish, and I was born into an ultra religious Jewish family. And I remember sharing this story and having an aha moment when I shared this story um, at an event where we had to introduce ourselves. And the story that came up was that I am one of 14 children. So, and I realized that my mother oftentimes told us that, um, and I get emotional when I hear that, because as a child, we don't take that seriously. She used to say that we need to bring back the 6 million Jews. So I never really understood her dedication and how she had 14 children and how she felt the burden on her shoulders, one woman, to bring back, a family of 14 and bring back all the Jews that were killed. I do come from a Holocaust surviving family. My grandparents survived from Europe. They fled from Europe after the war, and my great grandparents were killed, and so it's part of my lineage. And I never put it together with having large families and how the Jews that survived that Holocaust felt that they must rebuild. And it just gave me another level of respect for my mother. We all have our conflicts with our parents, and I had my personal conflict with my mom. I didn't feel like she got me when I was growing up, but after doing all my inner work, I was able to appreciate her um her simplicity, her innocence, and and to know that she was very focused on what her mission is. And her mission was having a large family. So I grew up doing the thing and doing what everybody did, and I had my own family. And I want to just back up with my story a little bit because I come from not only from Holocaust survivors, but I come from a lineage of leadership and leaders and the founders of a very profound movement in the Jewish history, which was called the Hasidic movement. And so it's kind of like being part of that lineage is being part of a royal blood type of thing. And they really brought a lot of mysticism into Judaism. Like that movement was adding mysticism, adding joy, adding humility, adding truth. It was just adding another layer to the Jewish lifestyle. And in the beginning, they weren't called the Hasidic movement, they were called the happy people because they really focused on joy and serving God with from a place of joy. So I was arranged to marry my husband, who came from the same lineage. I was only 16, I was a young girl, and I was arranged to marry someone. And because we come from that lineage, we had a huge wedding ceremony. And we had, do you want to guess how many people participated at this ceremony?
Huge. Are we talking like 1,000 people here?
7,000.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. How many of those people did you know? Wow.
I remember enjoying my wedding because a lot of my friends came. I had a lot of friends from school. I went to 2 different schools and camp. But a lot of people that I didn't know because my husband's family had a very big following and they have a lot of branches like worldwide. And this was the son of the grand rabbi. So there was this huge wedding. It was in a stadium. There was TV who captured our moment. So it was a big deal. And while that was a really exciting day, it really crashed very soon after because I realized I wasn't happy with the arrangement that was made for me. However, ooh, my son is calling again.
You can take that, please do.
Give me a second. Hello. Good. I'm in a call. Is it urgent or something? Can I call you back like in an hour? Okay, good. All right.
No
Talking
worries.
about parenting.
It's all good.
They never call.
They
I
come
turned my
first.
phone off. I knew they never call.
That's
This is
okay. So
So, a week into the marriage, I remember sitting on the couch. I was in a furnished apartment because we were this royal family. There was this huge house being built for me, a young 18-year-old girl. I was 18 on the night of my wedding. So, and I haven't met my husband before the day of the wedding. So a week into the wedding, I sit on this couch in this furnished apartment. My husband is out for prayers. And I think to myself, 18-year-old me, what do I do? This life is not going to work for me. I was clear it's a no. It wasn't even a question. This life is not going to work for me. But because, as I shared earlier, my mother and I didn't have the best understanding eye-to-eye relationship, and I was afraid to come home and tell her. my
Mm.
truth.
Mm.
Yes.
So what did you do?
So at that moment, I decided I'll make it work. 18-year-old, ballsy girl, but it turned out to be my most challenging experience and most growth promoting experience. Yeah.
Mm.
It was a very difficult marriage. And I had 8 kids. So I did the thing that everybody does until I had my grand awakening. And when I had that awakening, I was facing what I denied for many, many years. And that shook me out of my denial into reality. And emotionally, it put me in a very critical point because I had to face what I didn't want to face for so many years. But it also was an awakening. And with that awakening, I made a decision, and I share with my children this decision as a legacy, where I say it's 11 words. My legacy is 11 words, and it's my life is mine, and I choose how I live it. So, following that crisis/awakening, I turned my life around. I reclaimed my life. I reclaimed my parenthood. I reclaimed myself as a person. I reclaimed my truth. And a lot of things fell away, including my strict adherence to the religion. So that was 16 years ago. Yeah. So that really propelled me into a personal growth journey, into finding myself, finding truth, finding God, finding who I am in the world. And that also made me dedicated to, well, I had 2 things that propelled me to do the work that I'm doing. One is when I was still in school, still in high school, and we learned psychology, I remember making a pact with myself that this is how I want to teach. This is how I want to raise my children. So I had this very cute psychology teacher, and she taught the basics of psychology, and it resonated with me very much. And I was able to understand myself a little bit more, and it was like, well, that's cool. And when I become a parent, that's how I want to parent. But of course, with the story that I shared a minute ago, I was in survival for most of the time. So when I had my awakening, I realized I didn't really implement that. And there was one particular moment when I had the aha moment about um so there was something that triggered me, and I was like, why does he do that? Like, how could he do that, right? And at that moment, I realized I don't know what his childhood was
Mm.
that would make him do that. And that's when I said, how about I teach parents and help parents raise children so that they lead healthy and happy and prosperous lives. So that's when I started my parenting classes. Yeah. I mean, it's a long story, Julia, obviously.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
No, I'm really grateful for all that you shared. It's wow, and I bet you so many people who will listen to this may relate, in one way or another to that what you're sharing. You know, when you come from a family with such strong religious belief story, and you're taught growing up that this is the way that it is, and this is the way that it's going to be, you barely have an opportunity to really ask yourself, well, what are my beliefs, right? They're kind of just passed on to you without even having a second thought about it. And I'm not super religious, but I grew up in a Catholic family, and I always thought that the way to do it, at least for those that I've seen around me, is first you get married and then you have the babies, right? So whenever I found out that I was pregnant before I was married, I was engaged, but we had not set a wedding date yet. I was so nervous to tell my parents. And like I had mentioned, we were living out west, in Vancouver Island, and we flew all the way back to tell my parents. And I told them in a really sweet way. Um, I wrote out grandparents on a tray that had flour on it in Italian. I wrote out like "Hi, grandparents" or something like that. And I was just really excited, but also very nervous, because the first thing that I thought is like, "Oh my God, my mom's gonna kill me." And because my mom is not super religious too, but she still yet has these strong beliefs that she adopted from my grandparents, right? Of the way
Yeah.
things should be, the order that they go in, because that's how she grew up, that's what she did, that's what everyone around her did. And my father as well, although he's a little bit more open as a person. And then you know what? Right away, whenever they found out, I felt it. Like energetically, I felt the guilt, I felt the disappointment, and I realized though, like we have things in life that happen to us for our soul's growth, for our soul's evolution, and everything that we're experiencing on a deeper level is what we choose to experience, coming here, because it is for us. Life is for us, and there's nothing in life that is bigger than us. So if we're going through anything, even if it's the hardest situation or the most devastating, scenario that we could never imagine a way out of, it's there to teach us something, and we can, if we choose to see it in a way that is ours, and take back control. Like you said, when you had your awakening, you tried to go through this story that was given to you, essentially, this man that you were arranged to marry. And even though from the get-go, like, you were sitting in your apartment knowing that I can't do this, you gave it a try. And maybe it's similar to, not knowing how to tell your parents or what they would think of you if you were to be honest about your truth. And I totally get that. And I imagine that many people have been in that situation before, but then you go and you play this role in their story, because it's not your ideal story, right? But then it's not filling you up. And life is meant to fill us up. Like, we came here to experience joy. We came here to experience many things, but life can be fulfilling. And when we're living a life that is not as so, it can be draining. And so I could only imagine, the resiliency you must have had to keep pushing forward, and also doing it for your children. But, maybe people listening to you could relate in the sense like, oh, I've been in this marriage for so long, and I know it's not working out, and I'm done trying. but they feel stuck, like they don't know how they can get out, or not even just marriage, but like anything in life. Maybe they're going through something that they just, like you said, you when you don't implement it, you may have your aha moment, but just because you know what to do doesn't mean you go and do it, because it's not that simple. So I would love to ask you more about, when you started to have this awakening, but then also taking aligned action. Like, what are some things that you did personally to change your life situation and take back control of a life that you wanted to be living?
That's a great question. Um, well, the first thing I did, which comes to my mind, and um, is a very simple thing. It's self-care. I
Beautiful.
really up-leveled my self-care to as high a degree as I can in every aspect, whether it's, you know, what you eat, movement,
Mhm.
um, grooming. I enrolled again into school. I am very intellectually leaning, so I love learning. So I enrolled to college and I wanted to learn more psychology and all that. Um, so really filling my cup was the first thing I did. And you can probably imagine, as a mother of eight, that I had a lot on my plate. And it's so easy to put yourself last. But I did put myself first, and I knew that that will be the way that I can become the mother that I want to be to my children. So that's definitely something that I want to encourage anybody who's listening. What can you do today that will fill and nurture yourself, and begin to treat yourself with respect and with love and with nurturance? So that definitely was the first thing that I did.
That's really beautiful answer. And I can totally relate. I mean, I have one little babe, and I totally get the importance of, not losing yourself in parenthood, but I could totally get why many mothers especially do that, especially when you're wanting to give, and you have this little babe who literally needs your love to survive and more. It's easy to get lost in that. And let me tell you, honey, I always questioned my purpose in this lifetime. But one thing I knew for sure in my heart is that I always wanted to be a mother. I didn't expect it to come the way that it did, although I'm so happy it did, because life catches us, off guard sometimes with the best surprises. But you know what? When going into motherhood, I'm like, oh gosh, like how am I going to do this? I didn't learn this subject in school. I was
Yeah.
really, and during my pregnancy, I was having so many different spiritual experiences that no one in the mainstream talks about this, and being pregnant. And I was having memories, like visceral memories, of being in my mother's womb when I first became pregnant, and feeling every single emotion that she felt when she was pregnant with me.
Wow.
And then I was brought back to some of my moments. I remember at one point, I started feeling this mountain of emotion coming over me, and I felt like I just needed to sit down and start crying. My mind was trying to figure out what was going on, because it came so suddenly. But all of a sudden, I was taken back to my 6-year-old little girl who needed to fully express this emotion of sadness or whatever it was coming up for me. And I remember Nathaniel just being there, holding space for me, allowing me to go through it. And whenever I was done, after like 5 or 10 minutes of crying on the floor, I felt so free, because I just allowed it to be felt. And there were so many other times where I felt like I was taken into these inner child moments of, being so close to spirit and connecting with this little soul that's also growing inside of me. But a part of me was thinking, like, this is the most beautiful experience I've ever had in all of my life. And I didn't even know it was possible. And,
Yeah.
speaking about this, the work that you're saying, the preparation emotionally, spiritually, physically, before becoming a parent. Like, it is so, so important. And I'm really happy about the work that you're doing, because obviously you agree. But so first of all, why do you think it's overlooked? And maybe you could share a little bit about like why it's so important to bring it back into the mainstream.
Yeah, definitely. I'll start with something very simple, which is there's a very common saying, which is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And while it's good for everything, if you start investing early money, you prevent, problems later on when you retire or when you invest in your health. And when you're young, you can live an amazing life. I think there's no better and more important area where we can apply this as in parenting. And I think that really answers also why most parents, or even societally, this is dismissed, is because we are, in a way, wired for pain, and we are wired to only take care of problems more than investing the time in preventing the problem to begin with. So, what I found in trying to launch this work, the preparing for parenthood work, is that people are waiting to have their child and see the problem right in front of them rather than preparing. I'm not saying it as a generalization, everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
the people that I encountered is they don't see the burning fire, as somebody told me. And I like, would they really want to see a burning fire when they have a child? Like, um, so I think it's simply um, part of what I teach is breaking generational cycles, and I think it's simply another generational cycle
Mm-hmm.
that we perpetuate because our parents didn't prepare, their parents didn't prepare. Like it was never a thing, and it's kind of why I feel like it needs breaking into society. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I appreciate you bringing this, helping me share this with other people and bringing it to the world and potentially spread it to more people because I so strongly believe. And I'll also add that I was very fortunate to part of my journey back to myself was my inner work. So yes, the self-care was the first thing, but I was like a devil when it came to inner work. Like I really went to every crevice and every corner and every dark and this is not like to scare people that there are dark nights of the soul, but I'm just saying my journey was that I went to any place emotionally that my journey called me to. It's like if you would have a video game and you had all these little bonuses and you can catch that one and you can catch that one. And I caught all those little bonuses because I was determined to live on a high level, live my life to the greatest capacity that I can. Um, and I feel like I was endowed with this drive and also the courage. I feel like if there was a tool that I was given in my mother's womb and pushed out with her, with myself when I was born, it's courage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does take a lot of courage to allow yourself to feel the discomfort. Emotional discomfort is a courageous journey to go there. It's delicate. It's so My perspective is, Julia, that most of our emotional pain is from early childhood wounds. And, I don't want to do like a whole psychology class here, but when we are very young, we are very vulnerable. And the emotions that we feel are like 100 times more than what an adult feels. So I actually created my own methodology on inner child healing. And I break it down into the 5 core emotions that we feel as children. So that when you are triggered, you can try and find which of these 5 emotions are you dealing with. So I actually have like a little chart that I made from it. This is kind of like my entire work in one little chart.
I love that it's a flower.
Yeah. So a child will feel frightened when something happens to the child. When it would happen to an adult, the adult is not going to feel frightened. So if there's still a wound, a trauma from your childhood, the same thing will happen as an adult. You wouldn't feel frightened, but you feel frightened because your inner child is feeling frightened by that same experience. So, when we learn this and we can begin to create a relationship with our whole inner family, I believe our inner children are alive inside of us, otherwise we wouldn't be triggered. And we are eternal, so every moment we live lasts forever with us and stays with us and stays in the universe. We are a part of this grand the grand plan of the universe, and magnificently so. Not by mistake, not by chance, not by some random, happenstance that you're here. And as you said earlier, everything that happens to us is also part of that grand picture. And we each have this, we're thrown into the world when we're born, and we have our experiences, and then we can come back home and bring all our inner children into our divine arms and hold them and heal them and take care of them. So I am under the impression that when we can heal, like I'm not the same with my children as I was before I did this work, because I'm self-aware and I know how to take care of whoever in me is triggered, and I don't spill that stuff. I'm not perfect, but for the most part, I don't spill it as when I was not aware of who in me is triggered, how I'm triggered, and also how to heal or how to take care of those children. Because our inner children are as real as our outer children. So if your inner child was in a corner and hiding because she's scared, if this was another child, you would want to scoop that little child up and say, I'm here, I will protect you. I want you to feel safe and provide that safety to the child. So when we learn to do that with our inner children, then we create more harmony within.
Mm.
And when we create more harmony within, we can be more relaxed and know how to connect to our actual children in a more constructive way.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's clear, but that's kind of why I strongly believe in preparing for parenthood, because I would love for every person to have a keychain like this, which gives them, I have basically like two things that I teach, which is understand your emotions and what they need. If a child is frightened, they need to feel safe. And then I also teach how to use toroidal meditation to use the powers of quantum mechanics and the quantum field to tap into our higher self. Like, I love the story you shared about yourself and how you naturally came in touch with your higher self and your psychic powers and being able to experience things that are not right in front of you, but more in the field, in the energetic field around you. And I think when we tap into that energetic field, we can have a lot more power in, firstly, recognizing who we truly are.
Mm. Amen. Yeah,
And bring that to your child. Because when you recognize that in yourself, you can recognize that in your child.
for sure.
And then use that same power of divinity to help you heal those inner children. Because sometimes we're like, I don't know how to protect my inner children. They're like overwhelming, they're traumatized. Well, maybe you don't, but you can reach for your higher self that does.
Mm.
So that's in a nutshell of what I do and why I do it. And
Mm.
of course, I'm open if you have any questions on that.
So beautiful. Wow, that you just unpacked a lot there, and you explain it all in such a gracious way, and yeah, I really love everything that you're doing, everything that you're inspired to be teaching, and also, how it's been a big part of your own personal story and journey. I love when people, they go through something personally, but then they feel so passionate about it that they want to continue sharing the work. And when you've gone through it too, it's like you have more compassion for those going through it, and then you kind of just
Yeah.
walk them through it together, and you're like, I know you can get to the other side because I've been there. I've been
Yeah.
here. Let me show you. And it's really cool because, I think this is actually the most important work that we've came here to do. I know that we all have different lives and unique purposes, but the journey and the initiation of parenthood is like nothing else that I've ever experienced. And I know I'm still in the early stages of it. But what I'm truly understanding about parenting is it's not so much about raising my daughter Luciana, but about raising my inner child. And I
Yeah.
got this almost not right away because I wasn't really understanding it all, especially when you're in it in the early months. It's like it's kind of catches you off guard. It's a huge adjustment. And I've heard somewhere, I think it takes at least 3 years, if not more, to truly adjust to, being a new parent. And your life, it changes completely. And it's so beautiful though, because I believe that these souls come in to help us heal these parts of us. Like that are wanting to be healed, from our early, childhood years. And what a beautiful opportunity. What a blessed opportunity that, these souls come in and have these special and not always the easiest relationships with us. In fact, usually the ones closest to us are more of the challenging relationships. But we have agreements to learn these lessons alongside one another, and they are our mirrors. And what they're experiencing oftentimes is mirroring something within us, and that's how the triggers happen as well, right? If we're being triggered by our child, it's something that's coming up inside of us that is wanting to be looked at. Otherwise we wouldn't be triggered. But a lot of people, perhaps they don't go that far to think like, oh, like my inner child doesn't exist, time is linear. But if we were to be a little bit more open-hearted and open-minded, like you said, everything is connected in this universe, and it is a multidimensional universe, and every moment is infinite. Every single moment, consciousness remembers everything. Every single thought, every single action, experience, it all exists within us. And we may not remember it consciously, but in the subconscious, it's there, it's recorded, you know? And so perhaps there are things that come up for us, certain experiences that trigger a certain feeling. And intellectually, we may not really understand what's going on, but we can feel it, right? On a level that's, maybe within our body, this discomfort comes up, or this heaviness in our chest. And if we choose to go deeper, I think one has to be ready if they're wanting to do the work. But if you choose to have an open heart and start to listen and ask questions, the answers will arise. Maybe not right away, but it's a process. It's a journey. But it really is so beautiful when you realize that, you don't need mommy and daddy anymore to care for that inner child, because you become the parent to your inner child, and you start to understand what it needs, and you start to realize that whatever it needs, you have the power and the choice to give it to them in that moment. And that's where the embracing begins, the acceptance and the healing and the releasing. And I mean, I'm no expert like you. I'm definitely still very much going through the fires of it, but I've never been so challenged in my life as a new mom. I feel like I have the most sensitive little soul in the universe, and it's probably because I'm also very sensitive. But every day I remind myself of
That's
the
beautiful, by the
beautiful
way.
opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm reminded of this beautiful opportunity I get each day to know myself deeper, and to remember who I am and why I came here. Thank you to the relationships around me. And I trust, like I trust life, I trust the universe. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything, but I know the direction I want to go, and that's back home. And to me, home is not a physical location. It's a feeling, it's a state of being at peace and total surrender and acceptance in each and every moment. And, choosing things that make me feel good and fill my heart up.
Yeah, I resonate with the homecoming. It is a feeling of coming home when you get that experience of inner harmony.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, the word home is also a word I resonate with very much. So I appreciate
Nathaniel.
you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Nathaniel created the acronym that we use for Education Association of Heaven on Mother Earth. And so it's not trying to get to heaven after we leave these bodies, but bringing it here and now, in each of our moments that we live. And so, speaking of this inner child work, I think it's so incredible that you are wanting to share this more with parents and with the world. I would love to ask you, maybe there's someone who's listening who is very intrigued by what we're talking about and hasn't had a lot of inner child work experience, but is very open and wanting to try, to invite the inner child in those moments of being triggered and what have you. Where would you say is a simple place for them to start?
That's a good question. For somebody who's new to this work, um, so what I have learned to do, and without teaching it elaborately, and I'm actually going to teach this, shortly in my community. But the toroidal meditation is, firstly, I would invite them to move their heart like in a figure eight. And that synchronizes them with their cosmic nature. Beautiful. Yeah. Even just
That's a
doing
little
that
crack.
relaxes you, right? Yeah. So you want to do it not in a way where you force yourself in any way, just very gently, very gently. And once you synchronize with this is the energy code. This is the language of energy. So when you synchronize with your cosmic energy self, you synchronize with your higher self and with your inner child, because your inner child is alive in you on an energetic level. And that's when you just invite them to come. And you really want to treat your inner child like a real person.
Mm.
And be curious to see them and hear them, because a lot of therapy talks about inner child, but it bypasses the relational part. So we stay very mental about it in a therapy office, and we talk about the inner child, but the inner child is sitting in here and listening you talking about her. And they're like, no, no, that's not exactly how I feel. How do you know? So this is about inviting the viewer who is watching this to consider that maybe you can actually find those little girls or boys inside you who are waiting for you to reconnect with them and just build a relationship. That would be my first invitation for the person who's wanting to do this work. Move into the energy field and begin creating a relationship with the most important relationship in your life, which is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And part of yourself is your inner children. And when you create harmony within yourself by gathering your whole inner family into your consciousness and cultivating that relationship, you are creating a very strong foundation for yourself and for the family, that if they're going to start a family, that the family they're going to build, or if they already have a family, for their family, because they're creating a strong, it's like when you do exercise, you want a strong core. This is the core of the family, is you.
Mm.
So that would be my first guidance on how to start with this.
I love that. I love how practical and simple yet deep and spiritual it is. Um, Yeah, it really is about listening. And also, I think whatever does come up in your intuition or mind or heart, really just noticing without judgment, because a lot of the times I feel like we get out of that aligned and energetic space as soon as a judgmental thought comes in of like, no, my inner child wouldn't say that, or they can't be feeling that way, or this is crazy. Just allow be open to the experience. And this meditation that you do, honey, I've never actually heard of it. Do you want to share a little bit more about how you got introduced to that and what it is?
The toroidal meditation?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was very synchronistic. Um, I was actually at a point in time when um, I knew I needed to leave the marriage, obviously, after my awakening. And I took 12 years to actually leave because I wanted to do it responsibly. And the same week that I got um, a firm that was willing to represent me, they had a like a a program in their firm to have some pro bono cases, um, is when I met my spiritual mentor. And um, I feel it was very synchronistic when I started to learn this. And I was very intrigued by it. When I started to do it for the first time, when I learned it, I was in my kitchen and I followed the instructions. It was a video. And I remember him talking about how everything in the universe moves in this same, like, even if you take a picture every day in the year of the moon, it turns into a figure eight. So everything cosmically has this same figure eight. And when you do it with your heart, which is cosmically also very significant, you really invoke the powers of your cosmos. Because I love one statement that I learned from my mentor, and I think this statement comes from Rudolf Steiner. I don't know if you heard of Rudolf Steiner.
Yes.
Yeah, so he says, we are the cosmos, we are cosmic, and she is alive.
Mm.
So, what I learned mostly in training in the last 8 years was the biggest trauma that we experienced as a human species is to be treated as if we are not alive, as if we are objects made of cells that are dead, dumb, and numb, and a brain that is dead, dumb, and numb, and all these scientific words that dismisses the life out of us and ignores the fact that nothing makes anything in you work but you. And who are you? You are alive. We are not dead, dumb, and numb. We are alive, we are wise, and we feel. So coming back to that, yeah, I feel very blessed to have been in my journey, part of what I did as well for everybody who is in a stuck situation, because I definitely was in a very difficult situation. I took every lifeboat that the universe, that God sent me. So if you have things coming to you in life, jump onto the lifeboat. Take the opportunity, even if it's scary, even if it takes you out of your comfort zone, even if it's new. But maybe that's your way out.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's really seeing the signs too and taking those leaps, They're always there. There's always opportunities to take back control of our lives. I think it's really just having a clear vision of what it is that we actually want in our life and what direction we want to go, and then making a plan to go there and realize and accept the fact that it is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, but we can enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really inspired by all your stories and all the work that you're doing. I just think, in an enlightened society, if we were to not have this forgetting growing up as children and really, be embodied parents who, are so in touch with our inner children, and all parts of us, are just in harmony, and there's this remembrance of who we are and why we came here, and really just sharing from the heart. I mean, what is your higher vision for our world and for parents, going forward, honey?
Let's envision together.
I'd love to.
One thing that's coming to my mind is something that came to me as I was creating the curriculum for my clients was, imagine your mother in her most evolved expression. And the same with your father. Take a moment to imagine your father and his most and how your life would be different. That's my vision. And I know it might take generations past me because we're dealing with many generations of trauma. And I myself have done this work for 8 years and I'm still doing this work. And I see now my children are taking after me and they're ahead of me. My children are all grown now. So I know that the work that I have done is enabling them to take it further.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will break the cycles.
We
At
are
least
breaking the cycles.
we are breaking the cycles already.
Yes.
And there's another good news that I hear from, people like Cryon, who I follow sometimes, or people who talk about the souls, like my mentor as well would say, the souls that are coming into this world are very advanced souls.
Oh, yeah.
So I think when we bring like the two ends together, we do the work and these great souls come into being. I think it's hard even to envision what life can be like.
Mm.
And I think we need to spread this vision. And I love your question because there's so much darkness and
Mhm.
clouds rain, and it passes and the sun will come. But I think we need to spread the light, even just by spreading not only the work, but also the vision. So I think
Yeah.
that's such a beautiful question and way to put a ribbon on this conversation.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. That just fills me up. And I must say you're the first guest to invite me into the envisioning together. And I almost became emotional when imagining my parents in their highest expression because it just lit me up from the inside out, knowing that that's their birthright and that it's not separate from who they are now, but it is possible. But I also realized that, I can't do the work for them, but at the same time I can inspire them by doing my best at doing my work. And so for me, I told you I was questioning my life purpose aside from being a mother. Well, I've also had a couple aha moments, sorry. And one of those was realizing that, I'm here to awaken through my own awakening, inspire those around me to awaken as well. And so my vision, at least for me, is to be the best version of myself and inspiring those around me to be the best version of who they are as well. And then we rise up together and we realize that we weren't meant to do this alone. It wasn't meant to be hard. And like you say, like there is darkness in this world, but we don't need to focus on it all the time, because there's also a sun on the other side of that mountain. And if we keep walking in that direction, even if we slip off the path every now and then, we will arrive there. And it is not separate from where we are now. I believe that we are such powerful, creative beings that with intention and, coming together, that we have the power to create anything that we can imagine. And it's not too far out, as most people would say. It already exists. It's just aligning with it and letting it reveal itself. But I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful for you, for your presence and energy that you've brought. If people are wanting to learn more about you, your courses, your meditations, how could they connect with you beyond this episode?
The simplest way is to join my school community. It's a free community, and there are many options to, you know, to grow there and learn this and be supported. So, yeah, I'm sure you will share the link to that community.
Absolutely.
I also want to respond to you by just mirroring back to you what a beautiful light you are.
Thank you.
Just by being, you are an inspiration. Just by being who you are.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you're doing and the work you're doing and for the mothering. And I also want to emphasize what you said of how I don't remember what word you used, but how blessed you feel by being a mom. And I think this is also something that a lot of people who are pre-parenting and are scared and have any hesitation could benefit from hearing from somebody like you. You know, once you become a mom and you realize it just breaks your heart open and we're not the same once we parent. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to
We
you.
are blessed. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for just honoring and acknowledging all that. It feels incredible. And I know I'm not as nearly as experienced as you, but it doesn't matter. We're all on our unique paths. And I think it's the intention that we bring to it at the end of the day. And I couldn't imagine my life without my little girl, even though she pushes my buttons like never before. I tried to come back to gratitude. And I think it's really important what you said about, being. And sometimes in the busyness of motherhood, I forget to just be, but there's nothing that we need to try to do or accomplish or prove to anyone. Like being is simply enough. And so I want everyone listening to this to remember that simple truth that you are enough as you are. And period.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. I will have all of Chanie's links and the direct link to her school community if you'd love to join in the show notes. So please go ahead and check it out. And with all that to say, I'm going to invite our daughter to wish everyone a farewell. Thank you so much.
Your daughter is here?
I'm going to share a little video of her.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah.
want to see that.
Of course. Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you. Thank you so,
Julia.
so much.
Yeah,
Much love to you and your family.
likewise.
Thanks for watching. You say ciao ciao. I love you so much.
And surprise, surprise, she actually is here. So do you want to say hi to everyone? And hi to Chanie? Can you say hi? Oh yeah, we'll invite her back on. Can you say hi, Nana?
Hey, gorgeous girl.
Oh, this is
You
Luchan.
are a pretty girl.
She woke up from a nap, and usually Mama's always there when she wakes up. So I actually heard her crying earlier upstairs, but Papa said she
So proud of her. She calmed in a half the time from this morning. I sang to her and she calmed herself right down. Like she's really getting that skill.
that she was in safe hands.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love how dedicated and the presence you bring. And my sense is that undoubtedly you're building her trust. Like you're saying, she's calming faster. Yeah, you're creating that trust loop with her.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's how it feels. And I feel like it's helping her trust herself that she has the ability to calm herself down. It's such an important skill to develop.
She's learning to be safe in different ways, right? Because we're still nursing, but yeah, this is amazing. We've had big
How old is
emotional
she?
days.
She's so cute.
She's 2 and 2 months.
Wow.
You want to? Oh, I should ask you. How old are you? How can you show how old you are? Can you say? You're still waking up, Bella. Hey.
Cutie. I'm gonna throw you a kiss.
Oh,
She's
she's
being shy. She loves giving kisses, but she's still waking up.
What's her name again?
It's Luciana. Bye everybody. I'm gonna stop recording this. So Luciana means light in Italian. we
love
had a
that.
home birth on Vancouver Island, and we didn't have a name plan for her. We kind of